We are starting our day off today in possibly the smallest nation in the world. That's why it's called micronation. The Principality of Sealand is on Ruff's Tower, a sea fort built during World War II and has just one resident. It technically belongs to the UK, but the family of Paddy Roy Bates, who have claimed the nation to be sovereign since 1967, have kept away even the UK's Royal Navy with guns and petrol bombs. Welcome to Kaleidoscope, where, like the occupiers of Sealand, we are positive, daring, different. On the show today, it's about the multifaceted Rani, monkeys and power, and the legacy of photographic adventure. Did you know that Kaleidoscope is on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn? Remember to subscribe, follow, and like us for more. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts to our wonderful partners on the show, Sealand Life, CDB, and The Daily Morning.
She wins with CDB Wings, exclusive financial solutions for women.
And here's looking back at the week that was on CDB Snapshot. We are bringing you some highlights from the 2025 budget presented in Parliament this week. 5% of economic growth is expected for Sri Lanka this year. Exports are expected to reach a record high of 19 billion US dollars. 3,000 million rupees has been allocated to expedite digital economy development and 1,000 million to establish an innovation and invention fund. The budget has the highest ever allocation for health, 604 billion rupees.
You focus on your goals. We will take care of the risks. Sealand Life.
Welcome to Sealand Life News Capsule. Sri Lanka is no stranger to blackouts. In 2016, we had 3 happen within 6 months. It seems that little can do a lot of damage to our electricity supply. The latest power outage just weeks ago was blamed on a monkey. Professor Rohan Samarajiva has been vocal about our country's issues with energy and electricity, so who better to discuss our monkey problems? What exactly caused this outage, do you know?
I don't know what caused the problem in Panadura. Somewhere in the Panadura area, something happened. That's why I said a tree could have fallen, lightning could have struck, whatever. These things happen. I mean, we can't prohibit these things from happening. But we can protect against is a localized problem becoming a nationwide problem, tripping the coal power plant. Anytime that electricity is produced in a network like ours, it has to be consumed. So when you have a nationwide outage, consumption goes down to 0. That means that the coal power plant, Mallawarachchi, which was producing electricity, there's no electricity to give. So it has to trip, it has to shut down. And it takes X number of days for it to come back on, and cost. The problem is the transmission network that is obsolete. And the problem is the control center, which should be capable, which should be designed to shut down and manage the flow of electrons. If that is done, you isolate the problem area, the rest of the country keeps functioning. The structural problem that I identified, that I wrote about, is that we have not invested, we have not built, we have not remedied the identified problems in the transmission network. That needs to be done. Now, the problem is a completely state-owned entity is not capable of actually making rational decisions and making the necessary upgrades. And the 2024 Act allowed for 50% participation by an investor in the transmission business and for 100% for the extensions on the edges, the line connecting the grid to the wind power plant or a solar farm or something like that, where there isn't one. So the whole idea was that these things would have investment. The engineer's thinking is we must continue to get loans and they must control everything. That is not the way the world works. we must get investment into the transmission network. And by the way, right now, at this moment, 9 electrical engineers have been appointed to look at the 2024 Act, an act passed by Parliament. And one of their recommendations is we should go back to 100% government-owned transmission network design.
The high generation of solar power was also blamed for the outage. Does that make sense?
I think the network is changing. When the network changes, that is the generation sources change, you have to have a transmission network that is appropriate for that, and you have to have the software upgraded to deal with this at the control center in Palavatta. Now, those two elements I think we don't have. So I'm not going to be blaming anybody or anything. I think it's just that we are not adapting to the changing nature of the network.
What is the solution to not having a similar outage in the immediate?
You see, there's something called the Manitoba HVDC, some really fancy outfit in Canada, and we had commissioned a report from them on the 2016 blackouts, and the Public Utilities Commission had given some directions, but they're not implementing the directions because they don't have the money and they don't have the flexibility, given they are part of this monolithic integrated entity called the CEB. So CEB has to be broken up as we were planning in the 2024 Act. Now they are trying to put the thing back together, keep it a monolithic entity. No, it has to be broken up. And we have to open the doors for more investment and flexibility, and that is the solution.
And now for a quick look at our markets this week. After a slight dip last week, the all-share price index at the Colombo Stock Exchange stabilized and moved up to close at near all-time highs. Oil prices edged up slightly to $78.5 per barrel amid worries of oil supply disruptions in the US and Russia and on uncertainty of the outcome of Ukraine peace talks. Meanwhile, OPEC Plus ignored US President Donald Trump's comments to lower oil prices. Gold prices hit an all-time high at $2,940 per ounce, with central banks engaged in aggressive buying. Indonesian artist Citra Sasmita remakes ancient paintings to defy inherited myths and tradition, showing a post-patriarchal world where women are the only ones left. Multi-award winning superstar Swarna Mallawarachchi makes a massive comeback into cinema with the much acclaimed movie Rani. There have been bouquets, there have been brickbats for the movie, but Swarna, as the queen without her prince, as the movie's subtitle claims, plays the role of Dr. Rani Sarvanamuthu, a mother who brutally loses her son due to political upheavals at the time, and she plays this with extraordinary restraint. Director Asoka Handagama's casting is on point, but he also makes it a point to say that the movie is a work of fiction based on true events. Mull on that as we chat with Swarna, who joins us on Let's Talk today. Swarna, I know you are a master craftsman when it comes to character roles, but what drew you to this particular role of Dr. Rani Sarvanamuthu?
I had the intention for the last 27 years. And I met her in 1996. I went and met her. Second day I told her I would like to tell the story to yours and Richard, the story to the world. She was very happy, right? And that's how it started.
How did you prepare for the role, knowing, as your director Asoka Handagama says, that this is a work of fiction but based on truth?
Yeah. If it is a film, he has the right to create and make it dramatic, and to do whatever he wants. If you see most of the films done on novels or true stories, if you are going to do the same thing, it's a documentary, right? If you want to do a film, the director has to take the ownership, and then he has to do what is right for the film.
So you've played complex female characters right throughout your career. How does Rani Sarvanamuthu stand out among them for you?
When I met her, I really liked her. Immediately I liked Rani. And at that time when I met her, she was she was really down, you know, and she was very beautiful woman when she was young. I don't think I was good, beautiful as she was, and if I had to do this film 27 years when I met her, they had to put a lot of makeup on me to get that the time, right era, time, right age. Luckily, the God always has timing. You ask, he has timing, and this is the correct time to do this film. I have played lots of things. Dadema, Sudilage Katawa, Sagra Jalaya, Kalaputika Chaya, Bawaduka Bawakan, different characters coming from different the societies. And this one is completely different than what I had played in my life before.
There's always a fine line with portraying a real life character in a fictional sense, because reality tends to blur fact and fiction.
Yeah.
How are you handling the criticism, which has been very hard sometimes?
I don't think you have time to see all this criticism. I don't, because 99%, 99, these people love the film, right? They love it. People come. You don't know you won't believe. Sometimes my residents keep flowers on my door. Women who has lost their children, and they had come all the way from Gala, right? And lots of people came and gave flowers. One fan came from Maharagamatu, drove to Nigambo. He had seen the film just to see me. And they all love Rani. So I'm not bothered about what people say. If someone has a problem, and if you have a problem, if you say it's not right, it's not Richard, it's not the right thing, Manoharani is the right thing. Other people say it's right. They love it as what they are, what you see on the screen. Then some people, they try to own them. The people who are owning them and should have done something about him. They should have done a documentary, there was something, some exhibitions of him, which they were all hiding, right? Now some people are taking the ownership. Fine, take it, we don't need it.
What do you want audiences to remember after they have seen the film?
I'm helpless to do something because as you said, I'm not politically, I never go into politics and try to organize things like that. And I have seen people have failed, you know, in the past. And I would say even the people who are in the place where they could do something for these women, if they come forward, then at least they say they make commission, they want to find out who did this. And after this film, if at least in Sri Lanka, if this kind of things not happening, that is my wish.
Recently, Barefoot opened its doors to an unusual exhibit, a collective of works inspired by the legendary photographer, writer and founder of Studio Times, Nihal Fernando, through the eyes of those who have travelled with him on his photographic exploits. Founder-director of Studio Times, Nihal Fernando, who was also an avid environmentalist and a farmer with a firm belief in sustainable agriculture, urged his countrymen to explore his island nation through his eyes. Showcasing some of his amazing photographs at a time when digital takes were not the norm, Nihal Fernando's children, Rohan and Anu, collated their father's personal odyssey, augmenting his spirit into this collection.
So this exhibition captures that spirit of Nihal Fernando. We have featured emerging artists. We have featured artists like Channa, Dominic, Sarinder, Unambua. They have all travelled with him. So their work, as well as emerging artists like Sumudu Ellapola, Chandika has exhibited before, and quite a number of the artists have also been inspired by his work. So they have focused on some of his portraits, the kind of photography he used to do. They have brought in the environment, and Asela, the ceramic sculpture, she has incorporated roots into her sculpture because of a photograph of a tree with a lot of roots.
A legacy relived, exploring the connections through shared perspectives. This is the creative and inspirational spirit of Nihal Fernando, a legacy that continues to live on. So may the weekend prove inspiring. We'll be back next week.